Ugh, do you even own a shower, Daniel? You smell like broken dreams.
Hey man, how much for a life tune-up? Yours looks like it's falling apart.
This is Daniel, and these are the people who bullied him for being a poor mechanic. But Daniel has a secret. He's actually a billionaire, just looking for true love. And when the truth comes out, it shocks everyone. It was a hot, dusty morning in Cedarville, the kind of small American town where everyone knew everyone else's business, or at least thought they did. A dented, rust-covered pickup truck rolled into town, coughing out smoke like it hadn't seen a mechanic in years. Ironically, the man behind the wheel was a mechanic, or at least, that's what everyone believed. His name was Daniel Cross. Worn-out jeans, oil-stained shirt, calloused hands, and calm eyes that said more than he ever did. He was quiet. Too quiet, for a town that liked gossip loud and fast. And since he kept to himself, worked hard, and didn't brag, most folks figured he was just another nobody with a wrench and a dream that would never come true. Daniel had just taken a job at Mike's Auto Fix, a rundown garage on the edge of town. Mike was a gruff old guy who didn't care much for conversation, just results. And Daniel delivered. Fast, efficient, honest work. He could take apart an engine like he was conducting an orchestra. But the customers didn't care about that. "Hey Mike," one of them chuckled. "Your new guy looks like he sleeps under cars instead of fixing them." "Think he even finished high school?" another joked, tossing his keys with a smirk. Daniel heard every word. He just didn't react. He smiled politely, handed them their fixed cars, and got back to work. There was something about him, though, a confidence that didn't match the holes in his boots. A calm that didn't quite belong in the chaos of broken engines and angry customers. But no one noticed. Or maybe they just didn't want to. The town's favorite hangout spot was Lisa's Diner, owned by a woman of the same name, Lisa Monroe. Blonde, flashy, and dripping in lip gloss and attitude, Lisa was the kind of woman who only dated guys with Rolexes and Range Rovers. So when Daniel walked in one afternoon, covered in grease and sweat, the laughter practically echoed off the walls. Well, if it isn't Cedarville's grease monkey." Lisa smirked loud enough for the entire diner to hear. Her friends giggled behind their phones, already typing out texts. "You won't believe who just walked in." Daniel gave a nod and sat at the counter. "Just coffee," he said. Lisa leaned over with a fake smile. "You sure you can afford it, sweetheart? We don't do charity around here." One person didn't laugh. Her name was Angela, a waitress, just a few years younger than Daniel, with tired eyes and a gentle voice. She didn't dress flashy or wear expensive makeup. But when she smiled, it was the real kind, warm and kind, the kind that made you feel seen. "Don't mind them," she whispered as she poured his coffee. "Some people need to tear others down to feel tall." Daniel looked at her for a long moment and nodded. "Thanks." That was all. No flirting. No dramatics. Just a quiet exchange between two people who understood struggle. Back at the shop, Daniel kept working like nothing happened. Fixing, listening, observing. He noticed who helped the elderly carry their groceries, who kicked stray dogs when no one was looking, who tipped extra, and who judged others for how they looked. He was watching. All the time. What no one knew, not Mike, not Lisa, not even Angela, was that Daniel wasn't just a mechanic. He was the sole heir to Cross Tech Industries, a multi-billion-dollar tech empire run by his late father. But after his father died, Daniel made a vow. He wouldn't run the company from behind tinted glass or cold boardrooms. He wanted to know people. Real people. Especially before he let anyone into his heart. So he walked away from the empire temporarily. Let the media think he was off-grid. Disguised himself. Took the lowest job he could find, in a town that couldn't care less who he really was. And now he was here, being laughed at, judged, and dismissed. It was exactly what he needed. But even Daniel wasn't prepared for what was about to happen next. It was a Thursday afternoon when the whispers started. Lisa had spotted Daniel walking with Angela outside the library. No hand-holding, no flirting, just a walk and a few quiet laughs. But in Cedarville, that was all it took for the rumor mill to grind into overdrive. "Can you believe she's hanging out with him?" Lisa sneered, her voice laced with jealousy she wouldn't admit. "He's probably using her for free food or something. Poor girl doesn't even know he's probably sleeping in that old truck of his," added Tessa, Lisa's sidekick with a sharp tongue and a dull mind. By Friday, Angela had noticed it too. Her tips at the diner had dropped. Some regulars wouldn't even meet her eyes anymore. And every time she glanced at Lisa, she caught the same smirk, the kind that said, I'm watching you ruin your life." Angela wasn't the kind of girl to cry in public, but that night, while closing up the diner alone, she let a few tears fall. It wasn't just about the town or the stairs. It was about the ache of wanting something more, something good, and fearing it would be snatched away before it ever had a chance. Daniel noticed, too. He had a way of seeing things without people realizing they were being seen. "You okay?" he asked her one evening as she walked past the garage. Angela hesitated. "Yeah, I just people talk, you know." He nodded. "Let them." She looked at him. "You really don't care, do you? What they think?" Daniel leaned against the garage wall. "Caring about every opinion in a place like this will drive you crazy. I just care about the ones that matter." Angela blinked. No one had ever spoken to her like that before, like she was more than a waitress in a town that never expected much from her. But not everyone was happy about their growing bond. Lisa decided to take matters into her own hands. She called up her cousin Greg, who worked part-time at the sheriff's office, and asked him to drop by the garage and do a little background check on Daniel. Greg, being Greg, didn't hesitate. The next day, he showed up, flashing a badge and acting official in front of Mike and the customers. "We've had a few reports about some suspicious activity," he said, loud enough for everyone in earshot. "Gotta check your paperwork. Visa, license, anything that proves you're not hiding something." Daniel didn't flinch. He calmly pulled out a perfectly valid driver's license, all under the name Daniel Cross, no middle name, no 3 or junior attached. Greg frowned, but couldn't find anything illegal. Still, the damage was done. "He's being investigated," Lisa whispered to a group at the diner that night. "I heard he has warrants in another state, probably running from something." Angela confronted Lisa the next morning. "You're trying to destroy him," she said, voice low but firm. Lisa laughed. "Please, I'm just protecting you, sweetheart. You deserve better than a guy who changes oil for a living." Angela stepped forward. "Better? Lisa, he treats me with more respect than anyone in this town ever has, including you." For a moment, Lisa's smirk faded, but only for a moment. "Suit yourself," she shrugged. "But don't come crying when he disappears." The next week was cold and rainy. Business at the garage slowed down. Daniel kept his head down, worked longer hours, and spoke even less. He was used to being judged, but what stung was seeing Angela pulled into the firestorm. She showed up one night with 2 grilled cheese sandwiches in a paper bag. "Eat. You're starting to look like your truck." Daniel smiled. "Thanks." She sat beside him on the workbench, both of them listening to the soft tick of raindrops on the roof. "I don't care what they say," she whispered. "I see you. I know you're not like them." He looked at her, and for the first time, something cracked in his expression, just a flicker of emotion he usually kept buried. "You're right," he said. "I'm not." Angela waited, hoping he'd say more. But he didn't. 2 days later, a blacked-out SUV rolled into town and parked outside Mike's garage. A man in a tailored suit stepped out and approached Daniel. "Mr. Cross," he said loudly, "the board is asking for your decision. We need to know if you're coming back to run the company. The shareholders are nervous." Everyone froze. Mike, the customers, even Lisa, who just happened to be walking past at that moment. Daniel calmly wiped his hands on a rag, looked up, and said, "Not yet. I'm not done here." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Company," someone muttered. "Wait, Cross is in Crosstech." Lisa's mouth hung open. Her carefully laid lies, her petty attacks, suddenly meaningless. Angela stared at Daniel, her heart pounding. "You're a billionaire?" Daniel looked right at her. "I needed to know who was real. You were the only one who didn't treat me like trash." Angela's breath caught. Lisa tried to recover. "Wait, Daniel. I didn't know." He didn't even glance her way. The next few days in Cedarville were unlike anything the small town had ever experienced. News spread like wildfire. The quiet mechanic at Mike's garage was actually Daniel Cross, heir and CEO-in-waiting of Crosstech Industries, a multi-billion-dollar tech company headquartered in New York. Old men at the barbershop whispered like kids in a schoolyard. The diner buzzed with new energy as locals speculated over how long Daniel had been hiding in plain sight. But the one person who wasn't gawking or gossiping was Angela. She hadn't seen him since the reveal. She needed space, to think, to process, to decide if this changed everything or nothing at all. Daniel, on the other hand, had nothing but clarity. He walked into the diner early Monday morning, before the breakfast rush. Angela was behind the counter, wiping down tables like always. "Hey," he said gently. She paused, then turned. Hey, I didn't lie, he said, sliding into a booth. I never said I was poor. I just didn't advertise what I am. Angela sighed. You mean who you are? He nodded. Exactly. She joined him at the booth, arms folded. Why come here, Daniel? Why Cedarville? He hesitated, then said, because I was tired of being seen for my last name. Every date, every friend, every business deal, it always circled back to money, to power. I wanted to see what life was like when no one wanted anything from me. Angela's gaze softened, but her voice stayed steady. And what if I had treated you like everyone else? Would you have disappeared? I don't know, he admitted. But you didn't. You saw me. You defended me when it would have been easier not to. That matters more than anything. There was a long silence between them. A real one, heavy and honest. Then Angela said, So what happens now? Are you staying? I've bought Mike's garage, Daniel said quietly. He was thinking of retiring anyway. I'm going to keep it running, maybe expand. I like fixing things with my hands. Angela blinked. You're serious? Daniel chuckled. Dead serious. Just then, the bell above the door jingled. Lisa strutted in, face full of forced confidence. Well, look who's slumming it, she smirked. Thought you'd be halfway to a private jet by now. Daniel smiled politely. Good morning, Lisa. She slid into the booth beside him without asking. You know, I always suspected there was more to you. I mean, I did try to help you out when no one else would. Angela shot her a look. You mean when you got your cousin to harass him with a fake investigation? Lisa laughed nervously. That was just a misunderstanding. Anyway, Daniel, I was wondering if you'd be interested in coming to my dad's charity gala next week. You'd be a hit with the guests. Daniel didn't blink. Sorry, I'll be busy fixing brakes. That's what billionaires do now, didn't you hear? Lisa's face flushed. She got up, scoffed, and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Angela shook her head. That was beautiful. Daniel smiled. That was closure. Later that week, Daniel invited Angela to the town park. He had something planned. As the sun set, she found him standing by a bench near the lake, dressed in his usual coveralls, holding a small box. I know this might be fast, he said, but I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Angela's breath caught. Daniel. He opened the box. It wasn't a ring. Inside was a key to her own home, fully paid off. I don't expect anything from you. Not marriage, not commitment. Just a chance to keep being real together. Tears welled in Angela's eyes. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to, he said, because you're the only part of this story that feels real. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. Then let's build something real. Together. As the stars came out, the billionaire who once hid behind a mechanic's uniform finally found the love he'd been searching for, and it had nothing to do with money.